Our story centers around a woman named Misa. She honestly thought her life was pretty good, like, enough. Even after getting diagnosed with stomach cancer, she felt at peace. She had no regrets. She even planned to write letters to her husband and her best friend. In these letters, she wanted to tell her best friend to find someone who truly loved her. And she gave her husband permission to move on and find happiness again after she passed away. Just wait. One day, Misa gets a day pass from the hospital. She decides to surprise her husband at home, but when she opens the bedroom door, she freezes. What does she see? Her husband and her best friend are in her bed, going over her life insurance policy. Yep, they, literally plotting how they, going to spend the money after she's gone. When they see Misa standing there, they try to backpedal, saying they were just scared of losing her and were only trying to comfort each other. Misa can, believe her ears. The woman, called her best friend for years, and the man she wholeheartedly loved and trusted had betrayed her in the most brutal way possible. Their affair had been going on for 6 months. Misa had originally listed her grandmother as the beneficiary of the life insurance, but her husband had secretly changed it, putting himself as the sole beneficiary. He doesn't, it even act remorseful. He starts yelling at her, saying that marrying her ruined his life, that all his failures are her fault. And the best friend, Reina, the one she's known since kindergarten? She finally drops the act, sneering at Misa. Turns out, Reina has harbored resentment towards Misa for years. She only reveals her true feelings because she doesn't think Misa has long to live. In Reina, they were never friends. Completely shattered, Misa just wants to escape that house, that toxic environment. She decides to call the insurance company and tell them everything, hoping to prevent them from getting a single penny. Her husband freaks out. He waited years for this payout, and he not about to let it slip away because of a phone call. So, in a horrifying act of desperation, both her husband and best friend push Misa off the balcony. After that, Reina falls to the ground, pretending to have just discovered her friend Appa's suicide, putting on a tearful, sorrowful performance. As Misa takes her last breaths, her life flashes before her eyes. She always convinced herself she was happy, but the truth is, her life was filled with hardship and misfortune. Now, it all clicks. She finally understands why her best friend was promoted so quickly at work while she got fired. Why was her husband constantly spending her money? All her tragedies were orchestrated by these two people. In her final moments, she has one desperate wish. If she could live again, she would never let them get away with this. And then, something incredible happens. She wakes up. Misa finds herself standing in her office. She's disoriented, thinking it's a dream. But before she can fully process what's happening, she sees her husband Tamoya across the room. He looks startled. She rushes into the elevator, trying to avoid him, but he spots her and gets in right next to her. He even tries to flirt with her, making her skin crawl. The moment the elevator doors open, Misa bolts out of there. As she steps out of the company, she runs smack into her best friend. It's like seeing a ghost. Just moments ago, they were her murderers, and now they, reacting like everything is normal, talking to her like nothing ever happened. Misa wants nothing to do with them. She needs to get away. Wandering through the streets, she suddenly realizes it's 2015, 10 years in the past. Stunned. She sees her reflection in a storefront window. It is the face of a young, vibrant woman. And then she notices something else. Her stomach doesn't hurt. She's healthy again. Overwhelmed with joy, she almost cries in the middle of the street. She can feel the breathlessness after running, the gnawing hunger in her stomach, sensations she thought she never experience again. Misa walks into this little diner on the side of the road, a real hole-in-the-wall type place. She orders a bowl of ramen, but for the first time ever, she feels like something so ordinary is the most delicious thing she ever tasted. Seriously, she's thinking, if this is just a dream before I die, it's worth it. At least I got to feel healthy again. Suddenly, her phone rings. It's a coworker telling her she needs to get to the conference room ASAP today. Her big project presentation. All those old memories flood back. Before, because she was late and totally flustered, her presentation was a disaster. The clients rejected everything. This time, she is determined not to let history repeat itself. But of course, fate is a jerk. On the way to the office, she gets stuck in insane traffic. When she finally gets to the building, she remembers something important. Her best friend is going to call and tell her the meeting room has been changed. But it's a lie. It's a setup to sabotage her. A gut feeling tells her she needs to hurry. Misa's racing, totally frantic, and trips, getting hurt. And the scene is super familiar. It is exactly like what happened 10 years ago when she fell just like this on the same road. She finally gets to the entrance of the company, but she realizes she doesn't have her security card. And the elevator just closed. So she has no choice but to run up 27 flights of stairs. She, freaking out, totally stressed, because that last delay is what tanked her presentation back then, making her look like a fool in front of the whole company. But this time, she mentally prepared. She sees someone about to swipe their card, and she just dives for it, snatching the card before they can even react. Success! She makes it into the elevator, just in the nick of time. But, plot twist! When she steps inside, this gorgeous guy is standing there. The guy she accidentally bumped into is none other than the chief strategy officer of the company. And from the very first meeting, the man coldly said that scarf doesn't appost. It fit you. She is embarrassed and keeps apologizing. But Wataru clearly didn't mean to blame her. The pair goes toward the conference room, and this time, Misa makes it to the meeting right on time. But as soon as she starts presenting, those memories come rushing back. Even if she gives a flawless presentation, the clients are still going to reject the project. She knows this product is a dud, that it's going to be discontinued. A feeling of unease washes over her. So, on the fly, she changes her strategy. She pivots to pitching a campaign for boba tea. Because she knows that in the next 10 years, boba is going to become a global phenomenon. But, because she is so passionate, she accidentally blurts out something about the COVID-19 pandemic. The entire room just freezes. Everyone is staring at each other, completely confused. No one has any idea what she's talking about. In the end, the clients still reject the proposal. Immediately after, her best friend comes to apologize. This scene is painfully familiar. 10 years ago, she was too nice, taking all the blame on herself. But not this time. She sees right through the fake smile. She knows her friend is doing this on purpose, and she does. I want to waste another second on someone like that. After work, Misa quietly goes to a small shop, a place that will be closed down in 10 years. This place holds some precious memories for her and her dad. Before he passed away, her dad always made time to bring her here, just to make more warm memories together. She remembers she still has a few candies in her pocket, and in that candy wrapper, a small paper turtle. It was her dad's special origami fold. And then she remembers, on the way home, before discovering her husband and best friend's betrayal, she met a taxi driver. He drove her on a weird ride. She saw views that changed constantly. Some scenes were like spring and some were autumn. It was so beautiful. Before she left, he did just take a single penny and gave her a handful of candies. Looking back, was that taxi driver her dad? So, her dad helped her return. Her dad is the one who gave her the chance to redo her life. Looking at her 10-year younger self, she feels a surge of determination. This time, she not going to let things play out the same way. She takes off the ugly scarf around her neck. This is just the beginning. She is going to expose the betrayals and take back what was hers. Her best friend, and that sleazeball boyfriend of hers, invite her to a soccer game. Just like she remembers, her friend starts publicly criticizing her the second she sits down, trying to make her the butt of all the jokes. Misa, your taste is just awful. You, literally patching up torn stockings to keep wearing them. You can even buy a decent outfit or some nice makeup. Like, how low can you go? Then, of course, she bumps into a waiter on the way to the bathroom, spilling a drink all over herself. The exact same thing happened before. In the bathroom, her best friend puts on this fake, sweet act, saying a few words of consolation. But Misa can see right through it now. Every single thing this friend does is calculated. She is deliberately creating a stark contrast between the two of them, so Misa will always be the loser, always be average, always be less than her. In her past life, when she came out of the bathroom, her boyfriend out of the blue while his team was winning the match, and kissed her in front of everyone. She was so happy back then, her heart was pounding like a teenager in love for the first time. But this time, when Tamoya leans in to kiss her, Misa dodges him and quickly makes an excuse to leave. On the weekend, she is back in her office. All alone, she writes down everything that will come in the future. Then, Misa starts to notice a terrifying pattern. No matter how hard she tries to avoid it, the outcome remains the same. Meaning, 10 years from now, she will still be murdered by her husband and best friend. How can she change that future? While she is lost in thought, Wataru notices she is distracted. Suddenly, the kettle lets out a soft explosion. It almost blowing up, so Wataru manages to get in front of her, shielding her from getting burned. Misa freezes. Clearly, in her past life, she was the one who got burned. A light bulb goes off in her head. If she change the final outcome, maybe she can change who receives that outcome. A switch of fate, so to speak? Thinking that, Misa can't help but feel incredibly guilty towards Wataru. But Wataru just lightly says that he has been secretly paying attention to her for a while. He knows that in the company, she's always the easygoing type, always enduring things for the sake of others. Misa is about to say a few humble words, but before she can open her mouth, Wataru continues. She knows why she's always attracting terrible and scummy guys. It's because she's too naive, too easily deceived. She's always trying to be a good person in a blind way. Anyone who throws work at her, she does it. Anyone who asks for help, she helps. She likes playing the tragic heroine, but she is really just a poor, innocent fool. Even though she knows her weaknesses from her previous life, hearing someone say it so bluntly still hurts. And she fires back. And that resistance is the first step towards change. Wataru seems really happy about that. His unexpected attitude makes Misa feel strange, both surprised and confused. That night, her boyfriend takes Misa to a restaurant. She knows today is a special day because Tamoya is going to. 10 years ago, she was so happy to hear those words, and she said yes. But this time, things are different. Now, she has a plan of her own. Stepping outside, Misa sees her best friend holding a bouquet of fresh flowers, smiling brightly to congratulate her. But in her heart, she knows very well that this person has never truly wanted her to live well. Once she is happy, that person will definitely try everything to take it away. And that's exactly what she wants. Because this time, Reina is going to bear the burden of this terrible marriage. She going to let Reina experience the same miserable future she had to endure in her previous life. So, she takes the initiative to give Reina the spot next to her boyfriend. Even though she's already engaged, Reina doesn't hesitate to flirt with Tamoya, her eyes sparkling and her words as sweet as honey. Watching the two of them eat and joke flirtatiously, Misa feels so nauseous that she can't even swallow her food. But just then, Reina receives a call from her fiancé. Misa suddenly feels worried. Her fiancé is both handsome and rich, while her boyfriend is just a narcissistic idiot. This huge disparity clearly makes her plan to pair them up more difficult. A memory suddenly floods back. Misa knew what would happen because in her past life, the pair had broken up. Because on Christmas, her fiancé had been cheating around. To her, when opportunity strikes, she starts mentally listing all the good qualities of that dirtbag boyfriend. And she realizes, if he does, open his mouth, he's not completely hideous to look at. When he's in a good mood, he's a pretty decent guy. Plus he played football, so he's in decent shape. If she thinks of him as a decent person, it will only make her have expectations. But if she thinks of him as a spoiled dog, selfish, loves to be coddled, ready to bite her when things go in the wrong direction, why would I be married to someone like him? Just then, Reina spots the boss who gave her a hard time that morning. She immediately grabs her tray of food and deliberately starts walking towards her. Misa suddenly remembers, today is the day her best friend is supposed to accidentally bump into her boss, spilling food all over her. Without even thinking, Misa dives forward, putting herself right between them. In her head, Misa, thinking, yes, supposed to happen, is still happening. I just had to change who it happens to. That means her tragic fate can be changed. Afterwards, all three of them go to the bathroom. Tamoya, unwilling to blame her, turns to Misa and throws the dirty jacket at her. Misa responds that it is his vest isn't all the frustration she has been holding in is finally getting released. Then Wataru comes over. Years ago, he first met Misa when they were both students. She was crouched down, intently looking at a small turtle. He worriedly asked if she was sick. Turns out she was just worried that the pond would dry up in the summer and the turtle wouldn't survive. From that day on, Misa went to take care of that little turtle every day, and he sat not far away, silently watching her. Then, one day, Misa abruptly left school, looking extremely distressed. It turned out her father had passed away. A few days later, she came back to school, but the pond had dried up and the little turtle was gone. The turtle was her only emotional support. Now, both her father and the turtle were gone, leaving her completely devastated. Over time, that turtle has always been raised in Wataru's house. Occasionally, he still sits and talks to it, seeing it as a close friend. Wataru always knew he was never the main character in Misa's life, because for all these years, he has never had a real chance to enter her world. He was just an extra, quietly standing on the sidelines. When they were in school, he was just a faded passerby. After entering society, even if he met Misa again, he was just an interviewer whom no one remembers. Even in the company, he was just an anonymous superior, always standing in the next room, quietly watching her fall in love and get engaged. He once thought he would never have many opportunities to get close to her, until one day, Misa suddenly ran into his arms. Because he was so surprised, he blurted out a sentence, "That scarf doesn't suit you?" He doesn't know why. Since then, he started running into Misa a lot more, and they actually started having interactions. Now, whenever she sees him, Misa even takes the initiative to smile and greet him. That scene is seen by that despicable woman who deserves to be struck by lightning, and she immediately becomes jealous, deliberately walking over and asking Misa how she got to know Wataru. Because she knows very well that Wataru is not an ordinary person, he is the chairman's grandson, a famous, rich heir throughout the company. Her friend is afraid that Misa will have a relationship with a man who is even better than her fiancé, so she deliberately spreads rumors. She tells all of Wataru's private life in front of Misa, but unexpectedly, the colleagues on her team don't like her best friend at all, and she immediately tells her to go back to work. Also, the team leader adds in a few sarcastic words. Those few words that the mean girl said definitely made their mark. After that, what follows is that her friend wants to cause the incident in the cafeteria. She probably got revenge as the one moment that makes Misa feel so good so far. She is happy that she can be free with her actions. Unfortunately, the happiness before it starts from a rescue call comes in the bathroom. Turns out one of her colleagues forgot to bring her pad. When the woman comes out of the bathroom with an angry face, turns out someone did call her for a rescue, and Reina totally didn't look her way. Also, from this action, Misa made a true friend. After work, Misa always stops by a small coffee shop near the office for afternoon tea. Unexpectedly, she ran into Wataru there. The owner saw that they knew each other and took the initiative to put Wataru's cake on her table. It turned out that he was here to do a market survey. The two sat down and chatted about the various cakes in the store, and for the first time, they really talked in a relaxed and happy way. They discovered that they both had a hobby of exploring new dessert shops everywhere. Wataru took the initiative to mention that a new store would be opening soon, but that suddenly reminded Misa of something not very pleasant. On that same day, Reina once tricked her into going to a restaurant, saying it was just a simple gathering, but it was clearly a class reunion. She deliberately didn't say anything. Misa didn't dress up at all, just wearing very casual clothes. She immediately became a laughingstock in the eyes of her old friends. In the bathroom, she also overheard the criticisms behind her back. That day was a stain in her memory. A past she didn't want to remember at all, but now she finally saw the true faces of those friends. And this time she won't let it happen again. Misa logs back into the social media account that she had long abandoned and unexpectedly sees a friend request from a former classmate from middle school. Recently, he received a letter related to her. Misa immediately remembers that there was a male student named Yuto who used to like her that year, and she also had feelings for Yuto. But at the time, she didn't know that her best friend had already developed jealousy. She deliberately spoke ill of Yuto in front of Misa, saying that he was disgusting, advising Misa to stay away. But behind her back, she secretly asked for Yuto's contact information. From that day on, Yuto began to act distant. Gradually, the friends around them also began to become indifferent, even openly bullying Misa, while her best friend stood on the sidelines, pretending to be a victim as well. Now that she thinks about it, it was all Reina's scheme. Misa was so angry that she threw away everything related to that friend in the house. Even the clothes she chose for herself, Misa gathered them up and threw them all away. How could such an evil person kindly help her dress beautifully? She just wanted her to always be ugly and old-fashioned, so that others would laugh at her. But after cleaning up, when she opened the closet, she realized she had nothing to wear. Misa relapses into her old disease from her previous life, weakness. She decides not to go to school anymore, and doesn't want to act out the scene of tearing up with her best friend, like in the dramatic Korean dramas. She decides to go back to focusing on work, taking the opportunity to try the famous cake at a popular store online. At the same time, at his own home, Wataru is also hesitating. Should he go or not? Recently, for some reason, the two of them keep running into each other again and again. After thinking about it for a while, he finally couldn't restrain his feelings. When he arrives, the first thing he sees is a long line of people queuing in front of the store. At that time, Misa sees him and takes the initiative to invite him to sit with her. She carefully looks at the menu. She wants to try every dessert, so Wataru suggests ordering one of each and splitting it in half, so they can taste more flavors. Misa realizes that Wataru is actually a very kind person. At first, she thought he was cold and difficult to approach, but now she discovers that he is actually a warm man. But the next second, she immediately dismisses that thought from her mind. How could a man with such good conditions be like a character in a shoujo manga? She remembers Wataru once saying that she has the kind of personality that attracts bad guys. What if his acting all nice to her now is just an act? What if he is also a jerk, or even a stalker, watching her actions? She shudders because just the thought terrifies her. After the meal, Misa is thinking about buying some new clothes. Wataru suddenly apologizes for blurting out that her scarf was ugly last time. To express his apology, he offers to buy her a new scarf. Misa froze and reluctantly followed him. But when she sees the stores he takes her to, they're all selling expensive designer brands, and she immediately feels super embarrassed. She makes it clear that she can buy her own clothes, and Wataru doesn't push it, just smiles and takes her to a second-hand store instead. For the first time in his life, Wataru sees clothes that are so cheap. As they pass a European-style dress store, Misa sees a beautiful dress, but its price is 88,000 yen, enough to make her immediately turn around and leave. Misa says that today is her class reunion, but she won't attend because she knows that if she goes, she'll definitely be badmouthed behind her back. Hearing this, Wataru softly says, "Maybe when you were in 10th grade, you didn't know what to do. But now at least you have a sharp thorn to stab back at those who hurt you." Wataru's words give Misa strength. She suddenly feels that she has enough courage to step forward. Before leaving, Wataru gives her a small cactus and says softly, "That dress really suits you." Mic drop. Misa turns to smile at her friend, and they both turn back to the dress store. She suddenly remembers what that deadbeat boyfriend used to say to her. "The reason I married a dull and boring woman like you is because you're both stingy and know how to save money." She doesn't want to go back to being the weak girl she was before. She won't skimp and save every penny for a deadbeat man. She has to know how to use money to pamper herself. She boldly buys the dress and asks a colleague to take her to a hair salon to change her hairstyle to look her best. Meanwhile, her best friend is sitting and waiting in the restaurant, burning with anxiety. She's afraid Misa won't come and keeps calling and urging her. And then, Misa appears with a completely new look. She walks in dressed impeccably. The confident energy is making people think about what she has to offer. Her best friend didn't expect Misa to be dressed so beautifully and confidently. But no matter how Misa dresses, those girls still don't show any respect. They continue to make fun of her in front of her face. Misa doesn't hold back anymore. She asks straightforwardly, "Why do you all hate me?" "Game on!" Rihanna frantically tries to stop her, but it's too late. One of the group speaks up. "That year, it was clear that Yuto liked Rihanna, but you secretly seduced Yuto and used despicable means to bully Rihanna." They say that she ignored Rihanna, threw away her books, and spoke ill of her online. Hearing this, Misa suddenly realizes. So that year, the rumors targeting her all started with her best friend. Her best friend is scared and tries to change the subject, saying that it was 10 years ago. Can't they just let it go? If Misa says she didn't do it, then she didn't do it. Anyway, it's a class reunion. Everyone should just have a few drinks. Rihanna is truly a master of acting, gently pushing herself into the role of victim, making people unable to help but feel sorry for her. But Misa has no intention of letting it go easily. She looks straight at her and continues to question her, saying, "Rihanna, stop playing the role of a good person. Stop pretending to be a victim." But Misa also understands that no matter what she says, most of these people will still not be on her side. In their eyes, her best friend is still the victim. Just then, Yuto suddenly comes out. He loudly declares in front of everyone, "I have never liked Reina at all." He looks at Misa with regret, apologizing for believing Ja back then. Misa feels like she's been freed. She stands up and responds one by one to the friends who used to bully her. As for the person who sowed it all, Misa decides to completely break up with her best friend. She doesn't need a friend like Reina, who always builds her happiness on the suffering of others. With that said, she turns and leaves the restaurant without hesitation. Outside, it's raining heavily. Misa walks dazedly through the pouring rain, her steps heavy. And then, in the middle of that rain, Wataru appears before her again. She doesn't understand why, but every time she's in trouble, this man always suddenly appears by her side, as if fate is deliberately arranging it. As for her best friend, after experiencing what happened yesterday, a smoldering fire of revenge has risen in her heart. The next morning, she immediately goes to the company and takes the initiative to break up with her boyfriend. because she already has a bigger plan in her head. She deliberately spills the box of chocolates in her hand. With that, she falls into Wataru's arms, a carefully calculated fall, the beginning of her approach. With a pitiful face like a small kitten, Rina sweetly says that she sprained her foot, but Wataru maintains his cold attitude, not showing any concern. Meanwhile, Misa also starts a new day with a completely different look. She wants to start over, to return to being herself. Yesterday, she just broke up with her best friend, decisively, but today she shamelessly runs over to make amends. Rihanna then says that the reason she used to speak ill of Misa was because she was afraid of losing her, afraid that if Misa fell in love, she would abandon her. She even says with tears in her eyes that Misa is her only friend, continuing to put on a pitiful act, but in Misa's eyes, it's all just cheap acting. After all, 10 years later, the girl who is playing the role of a best friend is the one who kills her. No matter how much she pretends to be remorseful now, that truth will not change. It's all just a play to smear her, to embarrass her in front of others. But Misa decides to forgive her temporarily, because this friend still has value to exploit. The terrible life she once lived has not been completely transferred to her. Now is not the time to let go. Even though Misa knows Rina's disgusting nature, she still has to pretend that the two of them are as close as ever. Her best friend is smug, thinking that she has Misa in the palm of her hand. She even says that she just broke up with her fiancé. Misa froze. The period of time didn't match, and it's clearly the end for them. According to her memory, the breakup should have happened on Christmas. At that time, Reina's fiancé even brought another woman to say goodbye. But now everything is happening sooner than expected. At this time, her best friend suddenly declares that she has a new target. Misa turns to look in the direction she's looking and is stunned. The person she's looking at is Wataru. Misa is completely panicked. Compared to conditions, appearance, and personality, Wataru far surpasses her old boyfriend. How can she compete? Moreover, she can't accept the fact that a person like Wataru would be ruined by a person like this. She knows exactly who all of Rina's previous boyfriends were. In her previous life, Wataru had absolutely no contact with her. Is it because she has been reborn, and Wataru suddenly entered her life? So Rihanna's arrow of love has also turned to him. Back at the office, the whole team is scolded by the boss, because the proposal isn't up to par. He ordered everyone to revise the report non-stop. Seeing her colleague looking extremely distressed, Misa decides to help. She remembers very well that on this day, they were also scolded like this. In order to complete the plan, the two of them had stayed up all night for many days. So much so, that her colleague's daughter fell, because she was late picking her up from school. The project exhausted both of them, and their spirits were low. Unexpectedly, on the day of submission, Misa accidentally sent the first version by mistake. At that time, she had prepared herself to apologize properly, but no one expected it. The boss suddenly praised that proposal. Misa and her colleague froze, not knowing what to say. But in this rebirth, she is no longer as naive as she used to be. She tells her colleague straightforward that the boss has never seriously looked at the content of the plan, and she wants to take a gamble. Just submit the original report as is. She's convinced her boss will applaud it again. And, of course, he does. All he wanted was to show his power and presence by making things difficult for his employees. And the employees, for that, have to do a ton of useless work. Her colleague can't believe her eyes. She's never seen Misa so straightforward and strong as she is today. And from that moment, Misa has another companion who truly understands her. Misa remembers very well that after this, both of those people will leave the company. One gets transferred to another department, and the other quits because she is exhausted both physically and mentally. And she ends up getting stomach cancer. Her so-called close friend naturally and righteously takes her position. Everything is taken away by her. This time she must prevent that tragedy from repeating itself. Outside, her friend is quietly watching the three of them sitting and chatting together, and a sense of discomfort rises in her heart. That night, she deliberately invites that deadbeat boyfriend to go out for drinks, pretending to be sad, and saying that Misa has been very strange lately, as if deliberately ignoring the two of them. She hints that Misa may hesitate before getting married, wondering if the other person is really the right one. She says that only because she doesn't want Misa to leave that man. She's afraid Misa will find a better man, surpassing her while she is still calculating the gains and losses. Misa, on the other hand, has started doing business. She remembers that there is a famous vineyard, which later becomes so famous that there is no chance to cooperate, even if you want to. She has to quickly seize the opportunity to find a way to sign a contract first. Coincidentally, her first love, Yuto, also offers to help her. He invites her to go to the vineyard together the next day to help with the harvest, looking for a chance to meet and connect. Misa feels extremely excited, Right now, she has the ability to foresee the future. She is sure that what she is doing now will be 100% successful. All that's missing is one single element, and the person who can help her expand that relationship is Wataru. Misa eagerly goes to find him, but discovers that Wataru is secretly walking towards the emergency staircase. She curiously follows him, and freezes when she sees Wataru acting intimately with a female colleague who is very close to her. Misa suddenly remembers that the two of them had indeed met in front of her before. But at that time, they pretended not to know each other. In a fleeting conversation, it seems that Miku had even slept at Wataru's house. That detail makes the suspicion in Misa's heart even more certain. Sitting in front of that man, seeing him answer everything in a detailed and serious manner, Misa only thinks that he's good at acting. At that moment, the computer screen lights up. Misa accidentally sees a dating message that her friend sent to Wataru. So Wataru, who she once thought was warm and different, is actually even worse than her old boyfriend. A scumbag in disguise. She thinks Wataru is two-faced, seducing all the female colleagues in the company. So she angrily leaves, leaving Wataru standing there stunned, completely not understanding what's going on. Previously, Misa had intended to give her boyfriend to her friend, so she had taken him to a clothing store, hoping to transform him a little, because she knows very well that now, her friend has targeted another man, Wataru. Compared to Wataru, her boyfriend is just a useless, slow-moving person. She can only try to salvage the situation at the last minute. Just then, she discovers that her friend has just posted a new status, dating a man. Misa guesses wildly. Could it be Wataru? If it's really him, then her plan to transfer her boyfriend to her will be a failure. She squints and zooms in on the photo, trying to identify the face of the person in the photo, but she still can't recognize it. She doesn't know that Reina is actually deliberately playing mind games. The person she is dating is her old fiancé. Misa couldn't fall asleep all night. She realizes that ever since she was little, she has had a certain type of personality that always tries to please others. And the root cause of it mostly comes from her mother. Her mother frequently changes her emotions, sometimes being irritable and sometimes being indifferent. As for Misa, she has lived cautiously and carefully since she was a child, learning to observe other people's faces in order to survive. When she grows up, as soon as she sees her boyfriend frowning slightly, or putting the plate of food that he doesn't like on the edge of the table, she immediately retreats to the kitchen, quietly cooking another dish to replace it. Thinking of that, Misa can't help but laugh bitterly. She really is too stupid. Living again, she will no longer let others manipulate her destiny. During the trip to survey the grape varieties for the project, Misa deliberately takes Reina with her, and even takes the initiative to give her the passenger seat in the car. But the two of them can't say a few words along the way, which really makes her want to cry with worry. While picking grapes, Reina starts to show off her classic green tea skills, constantly finding ways to lean on Wataru. As for Tamoya, he is completely ignored, and she stands aside, her heart burning with anxiety. At the party afterwards, Reina deliberately spreads the rumor in front of everyone that Misa and that deadbeat boyfriend are engaged. She even pretends to accidentally blurt it out, then pretends to cover her mouth. But in fact, she is secretly rejoicing in her heart, because she knows very well that there are two other men here who are paying attention to Misa. This is how she indirectly makes them give up hope, seeing that Misa already has someone, while she is still beautiful and single. But she miscalculated. She realized that someone with money and good looks, like Wataru, still likes her best friend. Wataru asks Misa, "Do you really love Tamoya?" Misa angrily turns back. "If you already have Miku, then you shouldn't be messing around with Reina, let alone approaching me in such a boundary-less way." At this time, Wataru realizes with a start. It turns out that all this time, Misa has been misunderstanding him and Miku. He hurriedly explains that Miku is his biological sister. Seeing that she still looks suspicious, he even takes out a family photo to prove it. As for those dating photos that Reina posted, he flatly denies it. At that time, he was working on a business trip and didn't have time to go on dates with anyone. At this time, Misa understands that everything is just a misunderstanding. The doubts in her heart gradually disappear. The two of them work through their issues, and the atmosphere is as if the layer of ice separating them has been removed. On the way back, the jealousy in Reina's heart flares up fiercely. Reina frantically tries to turn the situation around, immediately running over and saying that she wants to hitch a ride with Wataru, claiming that she has something important to discuss. In the car, she starts acting, pretending to be a kind, sensitive, and easily hurt woman. She cleverly emphasizes that it is thanks to Misa being by her side that she looks even more precious and noble than she is on the outside. She praises Misa as a good person, but then says that Misa's mother left with another man, And she, with a kind heart, did not hesitate to accept Misa as her best friend. She even shamelessly takes credit for this plan, saying that she was the one who proposed the idea. Misa was just the one who wrote it down in the draft. She completely steals other people's work. All of those words are aimed at making Wataru believe that Misa is a flirtatious girl, juggling two men at the same time. Then she starts her pitiful act, saying that she lacks confidence, that she can't compare to Misa, and that she was dumped by her fiancé. She wants to make Wataru feel sorry for her, wanting to gain his sympathy. But she didn't expect Wataru to be completely unmoved. He can't stand it anymore and bluntly exposes her, saying that she is a person who specializes in ruining her best friend's reputation behind her back. A person who specializes in harming others without feeling ashamed. Sooner or later, she will have to pay the price. Unexpectedly, Wataru is completely different from the other men she has met. She angrily pushes the car door open, forcing Wataru to brake suddenly. But when she sees the other cars behind her, she is unwilling to let people laugh at her. She has more for the situation. So Rina deliberately gets closer, creating a deceptive angle that makes outsiders think that she and Wataru are kissing. In fact, she has been on the road with her boyfriend, as they are going to be there soon, and says words such as, she has been planning out each day to see it all. Actually, she only put her face close to his to grit her teeth and curse. You jerk. The car behind just happened to witness that scene, and their eyes widened immediately. Afterwards, they even deliberately went to Misa's house, bragging that they had just kissed Wataru. What she wants to see is Misa's jealous and heartbroken expression. But what Reina didn't expect was that Misa had already guessed her purpose. If she wants to compete with the Mistress, then she has to use the Mistress's tricks to deal with it. I have to know the tactics for the tricks they pull. Misa smiles and asks back, are you really okay? In his eyes, women are just toys. The sisters in the company all stay away from him. These words are exactly what her friend once said to Misa, when she deliberately made up stories to separate Misa and her first love, Yuto. Now, Misa returns all those words to her. Right in front of her, her best friend freezes, her face turning pale with anger. Misa not only isn't jealous, but she also mocks her for getting involved with the bad man. The next day, Rina sees Wataru passing by without even saying hello. The fake face from before immediately disappears, replaced by a look of annoyance and wrinkling. During lunch that day, Miku asks Misa why she is engaged to such a man. Because she sees people very accurately. Her first love and Wataru, no matter who they are much better than that terrible man. The reason is also easy to understand. When everyone is working, only that guy is lazy and shirking. Not only that, but he also competes for other people's barbecue. And his eating habits are so dirty that they are even worse than a pig's. Her colleague sincerely advises Misa to consider carefully. Misa just laughs after hearing this. Although she is sure that she will never marry that guy, she still has to keep it a secret for now. At the same time, Wataru receives a message from Miku. What is the relationship between him and her? She is asking about the kiss with Reina. Wataru immediately panics. If Miku has misunderstood, then hasn't Misa also misunderstood him? Sure enough, he discovers that Misa is always deliberately avoiding him. He wants to step forward to explain, but Misa immediately runs away. Then she suddenly pulls him into a hidden corner in the corridor. It turns out that she is afraid of her friend seeing them together. Seeing her friend calling and looking for her everywhere, Misa frantically pulls Wataru to hide from place to place. When she is sure that Reina has left, Misa finally sighs and awkwardly lets go of his hand. She also honestly explains the reason. She doesn't want to let Reina see the two of them being so close, because that will only make things more complicated. She even apologized for spreading rumors about him, but she only said that to Reina. Wataru asks if she is still angry about that. Misa replies that whether he kisses Reina or not has nothing to do with her. Hearing this, Wataru immediately rushes to explain. He recounts the details of the situation that day. He tells Reina directly that he is not interested in her, but she still deliberately got close and even called him a jerk. Looking at him describing that scene, Misa laughs uncontrollably. She didn't expect Reina to be rejected so directly. Even so, she still seriously reminds Wataru. She hopes that the two of them will not meet privately again. She doesn't want him to be dragged into unnecessary trouble. Misa remembers very well that in her previous life, because her friend broke up with her fiancé, she fell into a slump and didn't have the energy to interfere with her wedding. But this life is different. She knows very well that her friend definitely doesn't want to see her happy, so she decides to use the other party's tricks to fight back. What Reina will never allow is for her to live a happier life, so she will live a truly happy life, so that she can see it clearly. At this time, Reina is at home deleting all the photos taken with Wataru, when she coincidentally discovers a photo of Misa and her old boyfriend smiling very happily together. She finally realizes that the person Misa really cares about is not Wataru, but that man. She starts to wonder if she should change her target. The next day, even though she feels disgusted to the point of nausea, Misa still takes the initiative to ask her friend to go shopping. But Reina didn't expect Misa to invite that boyfriend along too. Misa's goal today is very clear: to turn her best friend into a third wheel, walking alongside a happy couple, so that she can feel the awkwardness and feel the envy. Shopping, Misa deliberately buys all the expensive stuff, occasionally innocently asking her best friend if she wants to buy anything. When eating, she pretends to accidentally feed her boyfriend in front of her. Her best friend is so angry that she can't even speak. Misa even brings a homemade lunchbox full of loving care for her boyfriend, making him say touchingly, "You will definitely be a wonderful wife in the future." Reina grinds her teeth with anger when she hears that. In the evening, Misa knows it's time to strike the decisive blow. She deliberately tells her boyfriend that she has been eyeing an apartment to buy, telling him to quickly put down a deposit to buy the house. At the same time, she also reveals to her best friend that he is investing in cryptocurrency and has made quite a bit of money. Sure enough, that idiot boyfriend immediately brags about it. Her best friend's eyes light up when she hears this, and Reina's heart began to waver. Misa's goal can be considered achieved. She pretends to get up to go to the bathroom, leaving the two of them alone. In fact, she has had to try her best to endure throughout the whole evening, her whole body covered in goosebumps. The feeling of disgust makes her want to go crazy. As for her best friend, she finally can't restrain herself. She gently reaches out to stroke the man's ear, then slowly slides her hand down his face. Tamoya looks at her blankly, not knowing how to react at all. At that moment, Misa is standing behind them. This is exactly the ending she wants to see. The movie is finally entering the reversal stage, a twist that no one expected. A person who seemed to have nothing to do with her in her previous life. It turns out that Wataru is also reborn. It turns out that in his previous life, he personally witnessed Misa being killed by her husband and her best friend. This time he came back 10 years ago, and his only purpose is to save her. All this time, every time he sees Misa happily living with the two people who killed her, he feels extremely uneasy. But she once told him that she didn't want the two of them to meet privately, so he has no choice at all. Even his younger sister has long recognized the feelings he has for Misa, and is urging him to seize the opportunity. After all, it's easy for outsiders to see that her best friend and that deadbeat boyfriend are really terrible people. On the other side, Reina happens to meet Tamoya. Her goal is not to win over that terrible man, but to change her strategy. When that naive man still thinks that Misa is very much in love with him, her best friend strikes a fatal blow. She shows him Misa's social media account, an account that Misa had long abandoned, but is now suddenly active, and even follows her first love and Wataru, but definitely doesn't follow her boyfriend. She also pretends to say something that she shouldn't have said. It seems that Wataru is also flirting with her. Seeing Tamoya's confused expression, Reina knows that she has succeeded. She adds fuel to the fire, telling him about Misa's mother running away with another man. Like mother, like daughter, Tamoya completely falls into the trap, losing all reason. The next day, he calls Misa to meet him outside. Misa is about to go, but Wataru stops her. He is afraid that she will repeat her mistakes. If she wants to change her fate, he can help her. But for Misa, if she once again relies on men to save her, then how is she different from her previous life? She brushes Wataru aside, turns, and walks away, despite her heart feeling somewhat shaken. When Misa goes downstairs, she sees that her boyfriend has been waiting for a long time. He starts to ask her why she changed the lock. She lies that she lost her key, so she had to change it. But clearly, he doesn't believe her. What about her holding hands with Wataru? It turns out that he had witnessed everything just now, and is misunderstanding that Misa and Wataru have a shady relationship. He starts to get angry, turning shame into anger, and turns to attack Misa with words, saying that like mother, like daughter, using the excuse of working overtime to meet other men. And there is another man at home when she comes home. That man slaps Misa hard. In that moment, she completely collapses. Even though she knew his nature in her heart, being hit like that still made her feel scared and extremely painful. At that moment, she feels her stomach tighten, and the pain starts to spread slowly. She immediately remembers the moment in her previous life, when the doctor diagnosed her with stomach cancer. A fear suddenly rose in her heart, afraid that she would not be able to escape that tragic fate. The next afternoon, Tamoya takes the initiative to ask Misa out to apologize. He says that he has already bought that apartment, and with the profit from his investment, plus Misa's savings, it should be enough to pay for it. He also hopes that Misa will come to meet his parents soon to discuss marriage, but Misa doesn't have the patience to continue acting anymore. She says goodbye right then and there, and asks him to cancel the apartment contract. Before officially canceling the engagement, Misa decides to go and see that apartment one last time, because that is where she lost her life. On the other side, Miku tells her brother that Misa's state has been very strange recently, and she even wants to go and see that apartment. Hearing this, he doesn't hesitate, and immediately rushes off. Misa returns to the place that was once the scene of her own death. In her head, the harsh words of that boyfriend and that best friend echo. She walks into the corridor where she was pushed down, as if that image is replaying. That man tightens his hands around her neck, pushing her downstairs. At that moment, a strong arm pulls her back. It's Wataru. He arrived in time. He won't let you die again. It turns out that this is also part of the rules of Rebirth. If she doesn't follow the script of fate and hasn't found a replacement, she will be forced to the outcome of death. That man, instead of coming forward to express his feelings, chooses to watch her live her life from afar. He knows very well that he is just a passerby in her life. In the company, he often secretly observes her when she works overtime, waiting until she leaves, before quietly turning off her computer for her, and placing a small bag of candy, with a note of encouragement on her desk. Even though he knows that she is in love with someone else, and even engaged, he still silently endures it, until one day, he accidentally overhears colleagues saying that Misa has cancer, and it is in the late stages. Everything about that boyfriend and that best friend had spread everywhere at that time. Only Misa didn't know. At that time, he decides to visit her at the hospital, but Misa has just left to find her husband. The two once again pass each other by. When he learns that she has gone home, he insists on seeing her one last time. But when he arrives, what awaits him is a horrifying scene. Misa is jumping from a high floor. Right in front of his eyes, he personally witnesses the death of the girl he loves. Afterwards, at Misa's funeral, he realizes that no one has really come to mourn her. Even her mother-in-law shows a look of disgust, thinking that her death brings bad luck. Amidst the chaos when the police arrive to arrest that boyfriend and that best friend, because they have found evidence to accuse them of murder, he remembers what Misa's father once said, that Misa loves the scenery of Mount Fuji. In a moment of anger, he decides to take her ashes away. He doesn't want to let her continue to be imprisoned in this filthy place, even after she has passed away. Wataru was born into a single-parent family, living with his mother since he was a child. But since his mother accidentally met her first love and remarried, his life has changed in a different direction. He became the grandson of a board member in a large corporation. However, that family has never truly accepted his existence, because his mother had been divorced and was carrying a burden with her. His mother always had to live humbly in that house. As for himself, he always felt afraid of his strict grandfather. He sets one condition: the company can only be inherited in the future. The biological child born from this new marriage will not receive anything. Tragedy strikes when his mother suddenly falls ill. Before leaving this world, she tells him to obediently listen to his grandfather, to know how to repay the family. He understands that it is the end she wants. Even his dream of becoming a researcher, he had to give up because his grandfather wanted him to return to work in the group. One day, he happens to meet a man who is looking for his daughter. He actively helps him visit the campus, chatting very happily. The man is extremely grateful, and before leaving, he takes out a handful of candy from his pocket to give to him. He also shows him a photo of his daughter. What Wataru can't believe is that the girl in the photo is Misa. Perhaps this is the arrangement of fate. Later, when Misa passes away, he can't survive either and follows her. But strangely, he opens his eyes again and finds himself back 10 years ago. When he hears that Misa is planning to return to the scene of her death, Wataru desperately runs around to find her and manages to save her in time. After that shock, Misa has begun to understand that her fate seems unavoidable. Everything still goes into the old loop. She needs to find a substitute in order to resolve her destiny. Awakening from her panic, Misa can't help but ask why he would want to help her. Wataru finally chooses to tell that old story. It turns out that the two of them had actually met a long time ago. In college, Wataru often saw Misa sitting by the lake, whispering and chatting with a small turtle. Ever since she joined the company, he has been paying attention to her, always wanting to find an opportunity to strike up a conversation, but he never dared to. Hearing this, Misa is both surprised and moved, but that conversation also only stops there. After sending Wataru away, Misa lies down thinking about what happened today, and suddenly freezes. While saving her, Wataru said, "I will never let you die again." Why use the words again? Does Wataru know something? Misa, in order to change her destiny, understands that she must continue to be patient and continue to play her role well until she finds a new way to survive. So Misa pretends that nothing has happened, continuing to reconcile with Tamoya. Like a normal couple, to stimulate Reina's desire to compete for Tamoya. She even takes out her own money to pay for the deposit for the new apartment for him, but deliberately tells others that Tamoya is the one who paid for it himself. When Reina intends to play the role of a caring friend, preparing to say comforting words like, "If you break up, you break up," Misa smiles brightly and invites her to go shopping together to choose clothes for the meeting with both families. Seeing Misa still being so happy, Reina hates her so much that she just wants to kill her best friend. Although she still has a smile on her face, she has secretly started planning to harm her. The next day, the company organizes a tasting event to compete for the spot to supply food for the Olympics. With many famous people attending, both Wataru and Misa know very well that behind that party, there is a big trouble about to happen, because a customer accidentally eats a bun containing peanuts and has a serious allergic reaction. The accident happened when a female employee accidentally sent the wrong ingredient list, and the person who had to bear all the responsibility in the end was Miku. After that accident, Miku was transferred out of the department. This time, Misa doesn't want the tragedy to repeat itself. She immediately goes to the front desk, instructing the staff not to bring buns containing peanuts out for customers to try. Unexpectedly, someone had already issued instructions beforehand, and that person was Wataru. Misa immediately runs to the warehouse to find him to ask him what's going on, but before she can open her mouth, he loudly scolds her for leaving her post without permission, ordering her to quickly go back to work. Being scolded directly, she has to quietly go back. The whole scene is seen by that boyfriend. He also sees that immediately after Misa leaves the warehouse, Wataru also comes out almost at the same time. Remembering what her best friend said about how the two of them often being ambiguous with each other, he angrily goes to find Wataru to vent his anger. As a department manager, he is seducing the fiancé of his subordinates. Wataru only replies with one sentence, "You two are completely mismatched. Can't you see that?" At the same time, the upper-level manager, who has been lazy and unwilling to work, accidentally discovers a pile of buns containing peanuts that have been forgotten in the warehouse. He feels that it's too wasteful to leave them there, so he decides to bring them out for customers to try himself. And just then, the customer who is allergic just happens to come. When the customer asks for the ingredient list, he conveniently instructs her best friend to get it. Her best friend, who is already in a bad mood, accidentally grabs the wrong one when she is sent to get the ingredient list, and gives it to the customer. After the customer leaves, she angrily says, "Annoying old hag." After everything is over, Misa is still cleaning up alone when Reina comes over, asking her to go drinking at the izakaya. Misa responds with a cold attitude that she is very busy with work, telling Reina to go first. Those words make Reina a little flustered, and in a fit of anger, she blurts out why Misa has changed recently. Being questioned repeatedly, Misa finally gets straight to it. She's tired of pretending to maintain a close friendship. Being friends with you really makes me tired. Moreover, she now has a fiancé, Tamoya. They are getting married soon, and her life will gradually revolve around him. She advises her to find someone who suits her. Reina didn't expect the kind girl Misa to no longer be under her control. She can't even guess what she is thinking. Her face twitches with anger. Looking down, Reina suddenly discovers Misa's hotel room card falls out, and she secretly takes it. Once she is in a hidden corner, Reina grits her teeth with anger. At that time, Tamoya also comes to find her, asking where Misa is. In a fit of anger, she suddenly turns and hugs him. That man only treats her as a younger sister, coaxing her perfunctorily, but unexpectedly. Her tricks are not that simple. Reina takes out the hotel room card that she just stole. It is the key to Misa's hotel room, and Misa is busy working overtime. Isn't that very exciting? That man is blank at that time. His mind is empty. But as an instinctive reaction, he still follows her best friend into the car. And right in front of the driver, the two start kissing. The whole scene falls into Misa's eyes, and when she is heartbroken to the point of suffocation, an umbrella suddenly covers her face. Turning back, she is shocked to realize that it is Wataru again. It seems that every time she falls into the darkest moment, he always appears like a miracle. Wataru and Misa go to a bar to drink together. Misa gets so drunk that she is no longer awake. She starts rambling, recounting why she used to love such a man. The reason why she once fell for that terrible man actually only started from a small action. Since she was in high school, Misa had long realized that as long as any boy had the opportunity to have contact with her, he would soon be attracted to her best friend. And that day was the same. She personally witnessed her best friend actively asking for that guy's contact information. At that time, Misa had prepared herself to let go. Unexpectedly, he refused, because he was afraid of Misa misunderstanding, just because of those words. Misa hallucinated that this person could be the man to entrust her life to. Now that she thinks about it, she only finds herself too stupid. Wataru gently advises her to look towards the future, not to hold on to painful memories. Misa suddenly asks him, "Then what is the future that you want?" Wataru starts rambling, telling all about his little dreams. They are all everyday things, but in every small dream, there is always Misa. Even though she has fallen asleep, he still continues to whisper the things he wants to do with her, such as going to see the illuminations together. And after seeing them, going for a walk, then drinking bubble tea, watching skateboarding together, and cheering for Japan to win the gold medal. He knows everything that she does. He would do whatever she needed him to be. "I will go wherever you want. That is the future that I want to experience with you." The next morning after waking up, Tamoya is stunned to realize that the person lying next to him is actually Reina, and he starts freaking out. Tamoya hurriedly pulls up his pants, because the wedding is approaching, and he is afraid of losing. Misa, a kind, easy-to-control, ideal woman to be a good wife and mother. Meanwhile, her best friend, having successfully stolen Misa's fiancé, is in an unusually good mood today. She even enthusiastically runs to hold things for Misa. Seeing Tamoya enter the company, she greets him even more enthusiastically than Misa does. Seeing that excited reaction, Misa immediately understands that something shady happened between these two last night. But in her heart, it's a wild frenzy of joy. Because ever since last night, Misa had received an invitation from that guy, and he had even booked a room in advance. She didn't want to be alone with him at all. Her act of releasing such harsh words to her about the date or plan was to make her best friend do it. The room card that she deliberately revealed, and Reina thought it was exciting, secretly having an affair with Tamoya at the workplace, and even inviting him to her house for tea. Tamoya initially intended not to repeat it, but when her friend said she would confess everything to Misa, he reluctantly agreed. But soon, a large commotion suddenly breaks out outside. It turns out that a customer ate a bun containing peanuts and had an allergic reaction. Misa finds it strange that the peanut-containing bun had clearly been stored away carefully. How could this happen? The group leader clearly knows that Reina was the one who gave the wrong ingredient list, but he covers for her, putting all the blame on Miku. Once again, Misa realizes this inevitable rule. When there is no substitute, the terrible thing will still happen. Continuing like this, Miku will definitely be transferred out of her position. Just as she is about to step up to help, Wataru suddenly appears. He announces that he will seriously investigate the matter, and when he sees Misa's worried expression, he gently tells her to go home and rest, and he will take care of everything. As for the group leader, he secretly goes to find Reina, saying that he will protect her to the end. It turns out that Reina usually shows friendliness to everyone, leading the group leader to mistakenly think that she likes him. He even thinks that she will marry him, so he has been harboring illusions in his heart all this time. But as soon as he turns away, Reina immediately throws the gift the group leader gave her straight into the trash. Misa goes to find Miku, wanting to comfort her. As for Miku, she is not sure what happened, and she will be the reason for taking over the failure. However, Misa knows that this matter was not caused by Miku at all, so why should she bow her head and admit her mistake? She hopes Miku can be stronger and dare to stand up and tell the whole truth. As for that terrible man, he continues to date Misa's best friend. After their date, he intends to leave immediately, making Reina feel extremely uncomfortable. She presses him, "Are you still going to choose to marry Misa in the end?" Tamoya responds calmly that there is nothing wrong with that. The person who should be married should still be married, and after the marriage, he still wants to maintain his current relationship with her best friend. In his eyes, Misa is the simple and virtuous type of wife, while Reina is the charming mistress. He says confidently, "I'm sure I can make you happy. As long as Misa doesn't find out, we can still continue." Hearing this, Reina immediately gets angry. It turns out that all her efforts and calculations have only made her a backup in his eyes, while her initial goal was to make him cancel the engagement with Misa. But it is precisely her decisive attitude that makes that man even more confident. He thinks that he is truly the winner in life, having both a good wife and a hot mistress. Just then, Misa calls him, asking if he has encountered a money-making opportunity. Tamoya frantically opens his phone and discovers that the investment money and the cryptocurrency have completely evaporated, and the website cannot be accessed. The next day, Tamoya finds Misa complaining, saying that he has poured all of his assets into it, and even mortgaged his family's house. Now, not only is he heavily in debt, but he also has no possibility of buying a house and getting married. Faced with this situation, Misa expresses sympathy, and says that she will help him pay for the house. He is extremely surprised, not expecting that he has lost everything, and Misa still does not leave him, but is willing to spend money to help. Yet Misa's actual purpose isn't as simple as it seems on the outside. Because that house is an indispensable condition, it will be the future home of her best friend, and that terrible man. If they don't have that house, the revenge plan cannot be implemented. She'd rather spend a little money than face the tragic outcome like in her previous life again. She sets only one condition, that he cannot reveal that she is the one who paid for the house. She also lies to that terrible man, saying that she is doing this just so he can have more face in front of others. He is so touched that he almost cries, repeating over and over again, "Oh my God, you really are a wonderful woman." The next day, Misa deliberately asks her best friend to go shopping. While choosing clothes, she cleverly reveals that the two of them have bought a house. And she doesn't forget to reveal the location where they will meet Tamoya's parents tomorrow, a top-notch luxury restaurant. Hearing this, Reina's mind immediately replays what Tamoya said last night. Misa is the one who is suitable to be a wife. The jealousy in Reina's heart is getting higher and higher. Knowing that Tamoya's parents are also people of considerable status, she secretly thinks of a way to disrupt the meeting. Before the meeting, Misa makes a special trip to a hair salon, asking the stylist to give her a haircut, and makeup is needed for a perfect and high-impact look. Misa still remembers clearly that in her previous life, when she wore simple makeup to meet her future mother-in-law, she immediately looked down on her, thinking that she was easy to bully, and then made all kinds of requests. After getting married, her mother-in-law often barged into the two people's honeymoon room without notice, not keeping any distance at all. At that time, Misa didn't dare to complain at all. When cooking, she was only allowed to use discounted items, and the delicious meat was all for her husband. That obvious discrimination is something she absolutely does not want to repeat. So this time, she deliberately puts on a heavy, smoky makeup style that is considered the most unacceptable in the eyes of traditional mothers-in-law. Tamoya's mother is a typical Japanese woman, strict and conservative. As soon as she sees Misa, she can't hide her displeasure and bluntly criticizes. "Can you cook with those nails? Can you do housework and laundry?" Taking care of her husband's health is a wife's responsibility. Breakfast must be freshly cooked hot rice. Lunch must be a healthy bento box. And dinner must be nutritious enough so that he has the strength to work the next day. The meal must have at least one main dish and several side dishes, totaling no less than 5 dishes. She says that her son grew up in such a family. It doesn't matter if she wants to go to work, but she can't neglect the work in the house. Hearing this, Misa replies with one sentence, "Who said I wanted to go to work?" Making her future mother-in-law speechless, unable to say a word. Misa gently explains that she prepares hearty breakfasts and lunches every day, to the point where she doesn't have time to go to work anymore. Those words immediately change the expression on her mother-in-law's face. She snaps, "So you plan to let my son work hard to earn money, while you stay at home and enjoy it? Is his money alone enough to support the family? Then how do you two plan to have children?" Misa maintains her smile. "Who said I wanted to have children?" Those words make everyone in the room freeze. The mother-in-law slams the table, yelling that she will absolutely not allow this to happen. She is so angry that she can't restrain herself, blurting out an insulting sentence. A daughter without a father or mother really shouldn't be worth anything. Hearing this, Misa's smile disappears completely. She can no longer bear it. "And what about you? Are your parents still alive? Why are you dragging my parents into this to humiliate them? Why do you keep forcing others to accept your strange views?" The atmosphere is as tense as a drawn bow. Both sides explode in argument. The meeting ends in chaos and anger. Tamoya follows, asking Misa to go back and apologize. Misa doesn't want to explain anything further. He starts to go crazy, thinking that she has ruined the marriage. This time, Misa doesn't pretend anymore. She looks straight at Tamoya, coldly exposing the fact that he spent the night with her best friend the other day. Hearing this, his face immediately turns pale, not knowing how to react. Reina shows up. This time, she's rocking this totally unexpected, innocent-looking dress. It's so frickin' pure, it's almost unbelievable. You just know the minute she walks in that whatever meeting was going on before, it went south. She sees Tamoya's mom and immediately puts on the charm offensive. "Oh, hello, Mrs. Back at the office, there's a major issue with a client complaint. The bosses need to figure out who gave the client the wrong list of food ingredients. The problem is, the client doesn't remember the person all that well, except that it was a woman. So they bring in the employees, and as soon as the client sees Wataru's sister Miku, they point right at her. But this time, Wataru has a plan. See, Wataru was thinking ahead, so he had security cameras installed everywhere. He's got footage of everyone who was in that area. He shows the client the video footage, and boom. The client immediately recognizes the real culprit. Wataru is furious. He can't believe his boss would pull something like this, covering for someone else and framing an innocent person. He remembers what happened in the past when he didn't trust his sister, how she was wrongly accused. and left the company. He is not letting that happen again. He stands up and publicly announces that Miku is his sister. The team leader, the guy trying to frame Miku, he realizes he messed up big time. He just accidentally ticked off someone way more powerful than him. All he can do is clutch his head in regret. With that whole mess sorted, Wataru heads to a restaurant to meet his sister. But guess who else is there? Misa. And she's got this whole new look going on. Like serious makeup and this icy, strong vibe. Wataru is a little shocked, but he immediately figures out that her plan worked. He knows she wanted to push that terrible guy onto her friend. And if Misa did that, there's definitely a good reason. The next day, Misa runs into that scummy guy on the way to work. He starts groveling, saying his thing with Reina was just a fling, but Misa just ignores him. Then, as they both walk into the office, Misa suddenly bursts into tears. She's all choked up, saying, "How could you do this to me? How could you be with my best friend?" Everyone in the office freezes. They see Misa fall to her knees, sobbing her heart out. Of course, someone pulls out their phone and starts recording. The video spreads through the company's internal chat groups like wildfire. Suddenly, everyone knows about the whole nasty affair. The looks people are giving Reina, filled with judgment and disgust. Then, the team leader calls Reina into his office. Turns out, after finding out about her and the guy, he's completely lost respect for her. All those times he covered for her before, he's wiping his hands clean. He doesn't want to be associated with her at all. Reina begs him to help her, but he basically calls her trash. He wants nothing to do with her anymore. So now the project manager Wataru is making sure justice is done and decides to punish her by firing her. Reina is completely freaked out. She worked so hard for this job, and now it's all gone. On her way out, she spots Misa and grabs her, begging for help. She asks Misa to say a good word for her, but Misa just coldly says that she knows everything that Reina and that guy did that night. She also says that he told her he was just playing around with Reina, and that she has no intentions of calling off her engagement, and that he will still marry her as planned. Misa even says she'll forgive Reina, because Reina has no friends, no job, and no one cares about her. How pathetic. Those words are like knives to Reina's heart. She's filled with rage, and all she can think about is getting that guy back. She keeps texting Tamoya, but he's just leaving her on read. Then she sees that Misa posted pictures of her and him all lovey-dovey. That's it. She can't take it anymore. She grabs her phone and calls Tamoya's mom. The next morning, at the company's food tasting event, Reina shows up with Tamoya's mom and proudly announces to everyone that she's pregnant and wants to marry Tamoya. Misa pretends to be shocked and forces herself to cry in front of everyone. Reina is so happy that she almost burst into laughter. Reina, bless her heart, thinks she's totally won at this point. But there's always someone paying attention to the details, right? That's Wataru. He's the one who sees it. Even with tears streaming down her face, Misa subtly gives him a thumbs up. This whole pregnancy thing? It was a performance designed to get her fiancé back where he belongs. Reina thinks she's leveling up, transforming into this gorgeous phoenix. But this is where the true horror story really begins. She's about to enter hell. Hugh, the nightmare mother-in-law. This woman is relentless, like a freaking ghost. She insists that the wedding has to happen this year. Apparently, a fortune teller said the baby will be cursed with a disease if they don't get hitched ASAP. And she doesn't just stop there. She's planned everything from the venue to the dress to the invitations. Reina gets a look at the venue and the frumpy, outdated dress the mother-in-law has picked out, and she's obviously disgusted. She tries to suggest Hawaii, a nice destination wedding, and the mother-in-law just explodes. Hawaii, my foot. This wedding is for all our family and friends to see that you're worthy of joining this family. It's a solemn rite. I won't tolerate this immature way of thinking. Reina can't believe how stubborn and overbearing this woman is. Then she finds out the wedding hall is where another couple just canceled their wedding. The mother-in-law got it at a discount. Reina is speechless. Her face goes pale. She keeps giving that terrible man desperate looks, hoping he'll say something. But Tamoya? He's playing Switzerland, stuck between a rock and a hard place. He pretends to take a phone call and quickly walks out. The truth is, Tamoya is freaking out. The sudden bride swap has thrown him completely off balance. Plus, he's still 20 million yen in debt. Without Misa, his reliable ATM, he has no idea what to do. Meanwhile, Misa is out celebrating. She actually managed to marry that guy to her best friend. And with that, she knows her own life will change too. Her friends think she's just putting on a brave face and try to comfort her. But she's genuinely happy. She feels lighter than ever. She says without any bitterness or resentment that it's all okay. Everyone is shocked, thinking she's incredibly generous and strong. They are so impressed. Misa gets a little tipsy and goes home. She slowly opens her desk. There, she can finally cross out the date that was supposed to be her wedding date with that awful man. She's waited too long for this moment, the day she officially restarts her life, pursuing her dreams and living for herself. Just then, her phone rings. It's Wataru. He can tell from her voice that she's happy and tipsy. He wants to tell her he's always liked her, but he stops himself. He knows his fate hasn't changed. He's someone who died and came back, which means it could all happen again. He can't risk it. The next morning, that terrible man runs to Misa's apartment, but she's already gone out with Wataru for tea. Tamoya sees a post on her social media of her happily getting ready for Christmas. From the background, he figures out she's working at Yuto's shop and rushes over. But he's too late. All he sees is Misa and Wataru chatting happily outside the shop. By the time Tamoya gets through the traffic, they've already left. As it turns out, Misa and Wataru have gone back to their old college. They're both nostalgic, as they walk back into the place where they made so many memories. They were so close to each other back then, but they never realized it. They go back to where they first met. Misa remembers the person who adopted the turtle all those years ago. She believes a god appeared. That god saved her most important friend. She doesn't know who that person is, or where they came from, but they saved her soul, and made her believe that as long as she's alive, something good will happen. Listening to this, Wataru can only stay silent. He can't bring himself to say that the person she's talking about is him. Misa says the first thing she wants to do is move, get away from the awful man and her best friend. Then she wants to travel, meet friends, and just talk. Misa wants to make sure she achieves everything she has dreamed of, so Wataru vows to make all those dreams come true while they are talking. They're talking, walking, just enjoying each other's company. Suddenly, it starts pouring rain. But instead of running for cover, they just start laughing and run through the streets together, as though leaving the heavy past behind. Meanwhile, Reina is totally falling apart. She wants to die because her mother-in-law keeps making her try on these outdated, cheap wedding dresses. No matter what Reina says, the mother-in-law insists that young people these days just want to show off their boobs and legs, and that it's disgusting. Reina starts wondering if she made the right decision. She looks at the man she fought so hard to get, and realizes he's just a mama's boy. He's dumped all the wedding planning on her, and to make matters worse, no one's congratulating them. When they send out invitations, everyone declines. They all have excuses. When Reina asks Tamoya what they should do, he gets angry at her. He says that she is easily angered, and no one can put up with that. Reina is furious. She goes to Misa's apartment and waits outside. Misa doesn't want anything to do with Reina, but she knows that the wedding needs to happen to complete her plans. So she invites Reina in for a little while. As soon as Reina comes in, she bursts into tears. She tells Misa she wants to cancel the wedding. When Misa hears that, she freaks out. If those two don't get married, her plan to change her fate won't work. She quickly reassures her friend, telling her not to overthink things. She says it's probably just pre-wedding jitters, making her feel anxious. She tells Reina not to worry too much. Reina is touched that Misa is so understanding. In reality, she didn't come here to cancel the wedding. Her real goal is to use Misa. No one at work wants to attend their wedding, so she hopes Misa can convince people to come. Also, she wants Misa to give a speech at the ceremony. Misa realizes that this is what Reina wanted all along. Even so, she agrees because she knows it's crucial to force those two to get married. After going downstairs, Reina immediately drops her act. She thinks to herself that Misa is still useful. The next day, Misa gets a message from that awful man. He says he wants to call off the wedding because he's still in love with her. Misa goes to meet him, but this time she's prepared to break things off for good. He keeps asking about her relationship with Wataru. Misa doesn't want to argue. She tells him they'll never get back together. Finally, the wedding day arrives. Misa shows up at the venue, which is the place where she got married to that man in her past life. Looking at the familiar entrance, she hesitates to go inside. It isn't until Wataru comes to her side that she regains her composure. That moment reminds her of her past life. Back then, the person sitting there as she walked past was her best friend. Now, that person is her. When the awful man and Reina are on the altar, Misa holds her breath. Wataru gently takes her hand, and his warm touch makes her feel better. Then, it's her turn to speak. She politely wishes the bride and groom a long life together. She says they're a perfect match. But then, at the very end, Misa turns off the microphone and whispers something to Reina. Reina can't hear what Misa says, but Wataru can guess. After that, Misa quietly leaves the wedding. She walks alone down the empty street. Wataru suddenly catches up to her and gently puts his jacket around her shoulders. She realizes she's shivering from the cold, perhaps from the excitement of the day. She was going to find a cafe to relax, but it's Christmas, and they're all packed. With no other choice, Wataru takes her to his place. As soon as she walks into his apartment, Misa is surprised to see that he has a turtle. She looks closely and realizes it looks exactly like the turtle she had in college. She wonders if it could be possible. Wataru doesn't deny it. In that moment, Misa realizes that the god who has been helping her for so long is the man in front of her. It has been there all along. The first snow of the season is falling lightly under the warm streetlights. In that dreamy, romantic setting, Misa makes the first move. "Aren't you going to kiss me?" Wataru hesitates for a moment, then can't resist. He hugs her and gently gives her a tender kiss. At the same time, Reina is still at home, wondering what Misa said at the wedding using lip reading. Tamoya tells her to clean up the house, but she angrily calls Misa, telling her that she should come clean it up. That's when she finds out Misa has blocked her and completely cut off contact. She rushes to Misa's apartment, but she finds out that Misa has moved out a long time ago. While scrolling through social media, Reina sees a post from Miku, indicating that they are having a New Year's party together. She secretly follows the two of them and sees that they arrive at Wataru's apartment. She stands outside and looks up at Wataru's apartment from below. She sees Misa and Wataru being intimate, and realizes that everything that has happened was a trap meticulously set up by Misa, especially the way that Misa always intentionally pushed that terrible boyfriend onto her. Looking back at Misa's taunting words, she finally understands. It was all to provoke her to take that man. She finally realizes the meaning of Misa's silent words at the wedding. "I threw it away and you picked it up?" Just thinking about it makes her tremble with rage. Misa feels a cold shiver down her spine. She looks down and sees that Reina has already left. While looking for something, Misa stumbles upon the candy wrapper that her father gave her years ago. It makes her suspicious, wondering if Wataru can also travel back in time. She remembers that she was diagnosed with stomach cancer in her past life, but in this life, the disease has transferred to her colleague. To make matters worse, the colleague announces in front of everyone that her husband is having an affair. Actually, she has known for a long time, but she wanted her daughter to have a stable family. So she endured it. But when she finds out that her awful husband has used her daughter's education fund to support his mistress, she decides to stop being silent and expose the truth herself. Knowing this, Misa immediately volunteers to go with her. That night, they arrive at her colleague's apartment. As they stand outside, Misa feels an eerie sense of familiarity. It's just like the night she went to catch her boyfriend cheating in her past life. The sound of the two people inside arguing and plotting once again echoes through the door. Even the way they are lying in bed is exactly the same. Every word, every action of the man, the reaction and tone of the woman. Everything is a replay of the friend's scenario from her past life. The memories flood back to her, making Misa feel uneasy. At that moment, the colleague is so angry that she is about to confront her parents. The man panics and tries to stop her. It is exactly how her terrible boyfriend killed her in her past life, with him pushing a woman off the edge of a railing. She's about to make a fatal move. Misa rushes forward to pull them apart. Unexpectedly, the colleague suddenly clutches her stomach in agonizing pain. Misa is horrified. What she feared has finally come true. The doctor announces that the colleague has been diagnosed with stomach cancer. The last bit of hope in Misa's heart is shattered. Meanwhile, after finding out that she was schemed by Misa from beginning to end, Reina's mental state begins to collapse. All this time, Reina thought she was in control, but now she realizes she was just a puppet in someone else's hands. She remembers her childhood wounds. Her mother never truly loved her and would always take her to her father's store and leave her there. But her father already had another woman who didn't like her either, treating her coldly as if she were an obstacle. She grew up in solitude. Even when she tried to give her mother flowers on Mother's Day, her mother threw them in the trash. Even when she laughed innocently while watching cartoons, her mother would get angry and scold her mercilessly. Then, one day after school, she saw her mother sitting on the balcony, staring blankly at her. She said some harsh words, and when Reina didn't react, her mother threw a glass at her head. Before she could even understand what was happening, her mother jumped off the balcony. The little girl didn't cry, not a single tear. Afterward, her father didn't take her with him. He and that other woman held hands and left, leaving her standing alone. That other woman, in a moment of pity, gave her a bracelet that she used to treasure. Then, one day, she happened to see Misa crying quietly by herself. She approached her and gently comforted her crying friend. Then she took off her precious bracelet and gave it to Misa, promising that they would be best friends forever. Afterward, Reina looks at the photo she took with Misa. She remembers that promise, a promise to be friends forever. But in the end, the person she trusted the most took advantage of her in the cruelest way possible. In anger, she burns all the memory photos, one by one, without hesitation. At the same time, in another place, Misa is enjoying the happiness she hasn't felt in a long time. The moment is of a joyful and warm New Year's Eve. It turns out that Wataru has secretly helped her find an apartment right next door to his. So they become neighbors. Wataru's sister even jokes that they should move in together to make things easier. But Wataru immediately denies that they're in a relationship. When Misa accidentally walks into Wataru's room, she sees something that makes her heart stop. It's a turtle folded from candy wrappers. It's exactly like the one her father used to make. Plus, she previously picked up the same candy wrapper in his living room. The suspicions are rising in Misa about Wataru's identity. After New Year's Eve, when Wataru's sister and Yuto are tired and fast asleep, Misa gently takes Wataru's hand and leans against his shoulder as they welcome the first sunrise of the new year. Wataru has prepared a New Year's gift for her, a comprehensive health checkup package. That action makes Misa even more suspicious. She can't help but ask why this gift. Wataru responds softly, because health is the most valuable asset a person can have. Every little action, every fleeting expression, every unusual concern of Wataru appears in Misa's head like a logical sequence. She's almost certain that Wataru is also a time traveler, but he's been intentionally hiding it, never telling her directly. Just then, the familiar little store they used to frequent was closed forever. It turns out that the owner's husband suddenly became seriously ill, and she had no choice but to stop doing business to take care of her husband. Misa feels extremely regretful. She had hoped to change the course of fate, but in the end, she couldn't escape her destiny. In another development, Reina is rushing to a real estate agency, looking for information. That's when she discovers that the apartment that the two are living in was actually bought by Misa. A surge of rage bursts forth, and she rushes to Misa's company. She glares at the face that she once considered a best friend, the hatred in her heart reaching a level that she can no longer contain. And that terrible boyfriend, he's not doing much better. Because the scandal with Reina has severely damaged the company's image, Tamoya is demoted and internally disciplined. At the same time, his phone is blowing up with messages from creditors demanding payment. He falls into complete despair when he gets home. Tamoya is shocked to find that the creditors are already waiting for him. Too scared, he doesn't dare go inside. After Tamoya goes home, Reina completely loses it. Because Misa once said that the apartment was purchased under his name, but after she investigates, she finds out that Misa is the one who actually paid for it, and that Tamoya borrowed the money from Misa. And to top it off, the loan sharks came to his house to collect his debt. Tamoya's investment has gone belly up. The loan sharks are starting to bang on the door. Reina can't take it anymore. She decides to stop acting. After all, this marriage has been nothing but a disappointment from beginning to end. She tells Tamoya that she was never pregnant. Tamoya immediately goes crazy, extremely agitated. "If you're not pregnant, then I have no reason to marry you." Tamoya screams. He accuses Reina of ruining his life. For Reina, isn't her life being ruined by him? She poured her heart and soul into it, carefully calculating every step, just to get a moron like a leftover piece of pork, only to lose her job and her reputation. But the stupid jerk dares to turn around and blame her. Reina immediately blames everything on Misa, telling Tamoya that it was all a trick. Misa has already moved in with the rich young man, Wataru, and is living in a luxury apartment. She makes up stories that the two have been having an affair for a long time. Everything is a sophisticated conspiracy, orchestrated by Misa to legitimize her relationship with Wataru. Hearing this, Tamoya is stunned. He can't believe that Misa is that kind of person. All those vicious words are heard by Tamoya's mother. She had just come to visit her son, and hearing that she didn't have a grandchild, she immediately collapsed on the spot. Meanwhile, after hearing that her colleague has been diagnosed with stomach cancer, guilt surges through Misa, because that disease was supposed to be hers, her destiny from her past life. Now it has fallen on an innocent person. This is not what she wanted. On the other side, Reina is secretly planning her revenge. As if preparing for a major counterattack, Misa anxiously wants to meet Wataru, because she suspects that he is also a person who has been reborn like her. But unexpectedly, her ex-boyfriend appears at her door. He is like a madman, grabbing her, screaming, and blaming everything on her. Wataru hears the noise and rushes downstairs, but the scene in front of him is already a mess. Misa tries to run away, but the crazed Tamoya chases after her like a rabid dog. In his rage, he frantically squeezes her neck, refusing to let go. In that dangerous moment, Wataru intervenes, but he is also attacked by Tamoya. Tamoya wants to strangle both of them. Misa tries to push him away, and in that moment, when he sees them together, he finally understands. From beginning to end, he was just a pawn in someone else's hand, to prevent that terrible man from bothering her. Wataru suggests that Misa temporarily move to another house that he owns. Misa realizes that everything that is happening has completely deviated from its original course. She decides she can no longer be silent. She needs a frank conversation with Wataru to clarify his true identity. So she chooses her words carefully and tells him the whole truth. She says that she died in 2025 and was then reborn. She explains that stomach cancer was her fate, but in this life, it transferred to her colleague. But Wataru doesn't show any surprise. He continues to hide the truth. He bluntly says that it's too absurd. Misa's ramblings make him feel completely bored. Although he once had some feelings for her, Wataru wants to end everything here. Misa is bewildered by his sudden cold reaction, not knowing what to do. But in reality, Wataru has already decided not to involve her and to protect her. He chooses to leave Japan. He has foreseen this fate. Before leaving, Wataru arranges for a top cancer specialist to treat her colleague. Misa clearly remembers that the doctor said in her past life that the disease was inoperable, meaning a death sentence. But now, a glimmer of hope is emerging. Not only that, but Wataru also entrusts all his assets to Yuto, telling him that if something happens to him, to give everything to Misa. Yuto realizes that Wataru has been emotionally unstable recently, and immediately contacts Misa. But Misa still can't understand what he's planning to do. Wataru has secretly gone to Osaka, Misa's hometown, just like he did in his past life. He rents that black car, the same car that took his life before. At the same time, the awful man's mother is seriously ill and bedridden. And unexpectedly, Reina actively offers to take care of her. Soon after, Tamoya receives a call from Wataru. Wataru's attitude is caring, asking about his financial situation, and even offering to help with the compensation and assistance through the company. He is invited to Osaka to discuss it, thinking that Misa will be there too. Tamoya doesn't hesitate and immediately sets off. When she finds out, Reina thinks that he is going back to Misa. At this moment, Misa and Miku are at Wataru's house. She then discovers that Wataru's personal computer has recorded all the events of her previous life, even the details after her death, how her ex-boyfriend and best friend were arrested by the police on the day of her funeral. And it was Wataru who returned her ashes to her hometown for burial. Reading those detailed notes, Misa's heart is squeezed shut. Wataru then visits Misa's grandmother, who is living in a nursing home. He quietly spends a large sum of money, instructing them to take good care of her. Then he rushes to the bridge where he had planned to meet the awful man. Standing in front of the road that took his life, he quietly looks into the endless void ahead, deciding to end everything here. Elsewhere, Tamoya's mother suddenly wakes up. Reina still imagines that she will understand, so she tries to please her, but she only receives contempt and a blunt scream. Hearing this, Reina doesn't bother pretending anymore. Rage surges through her. She doesn't serve her anymore. The mother tries to press the call bell for the nurse, but Reina presses down on it. As the old woman continues to yell, Reina throws a punch, breaking her nose. As for Tamoya, when he arrives at the meeting point, Wataru is already waiting. Without letting him say anything, he immediately urges him to get in the car. It turns out that Wataru had planned to take them to the underworld together, because he knows that as long as Tamoya is alive, Misa will never have peace. With that, Wataru steps on the gas and speeds like crazy toward the fateful bridge. But at the last moment, he sees Misa rushing in front of the car. He immediately slams on the brakes, screeching to a halt. Misa is furious, immediately opens the passenger door. When she sees the awful man sitting there, she doesn't say a word and orders him to get out of the car. Then, she quickly sits in his place, ordering Wataru to drive away, leaving him alone in the cold wilderness. Finally, Misa has realized the whole truth. She relentlessly questions why Wataru is willing to sacrifice his life. Wataru tells her the memories of his previous life. The moments he only dared to watch her silently, but never dared to approach her. Even when the opportunity was right in front of him, it was only when he witnessed her death that he regretted it painfully. And it was in that torment that the accident happened. Now he has revealed all the secrets, but is still determined to carry out his plan. He begs Misa to return to Tokyo and start a new life, because he will complete the ending for her. Only when that awful man dies can Misa truly be reborn. Wataru takes out the candy wrapper that Misa's father once gave her. He recounts that after the accident, he suddenly found himself in the man's car. The man looked at him and asked, "Do you have any regrets?" It was too late for him to understand what was most important, and that he failed to protect her. The man just smiled. Soon after, he didn't know how, but he was transported to the streets of Tokyo in 2015, returning from the dead. And in that moment in the elevator, he meets Misa again, who has also been reborn like him. From that moment on, he secretly vowed to change her fate, using this second life to protect her. But this time, Misa's heart has been completely given to Wataru. She doesn't want to give up. She wants to live a new life with him for real. As for that awful man, he is wandering aimlessly in the white snow. His phone has run out of battery. He shivers with cold, bursting into tears in the middle of nowhere. And Reina, after just assaulting the mother-in-law, is plotting to harm Misa's relatives. She plans to push someone down the slope ahead, all for the sole purpose of forcing Misa to appear. At this moment, Misa is still clinging to Wataru's shirt, refusing to let go. Afraid that if she relaxes, he will quietly leave as before. She coaxes him gently. "So, what do you feel about me now?" Wataru feels that he has already shown it too clearly. Perhaps there is no need to say anything more. But Misa feels that words are what truly matter. Seeing her being so cute and coy, Wataru finally reluctantly says something. But just as he is about to speak, Misa's phone rings. It's a call from Miku. Miku informs her that Reina has also arrived in Osaka, telling Misa to immediately check her social media. When she opens it, the other woman's account is full of check-in photos, including one taken with her grandmother. Feeling uneasy, Misa and Wataru split up to search for her. Wataru finds her grandmother dying in a small wooden shack. Misa happens to run into Reina, and Misa almost goes crazy with worry. She questions her in tears. "Why are you doing this? Anything between us is fine, but what does my grandmother have to do with it?" Reina just looks at her with cold, cruel eyes. "When your father died, I was so happy to see you suffer. Now I want to experience that feeling again." The reason why Reina deliberately approached Misa when she was young was that she saw Misa looking miserable and pitiful. Reina wanted to find someone even more miserable than herself to soothe her wounded heart. But the more they interacted, the more she found that Misa was superior to her in every way. She had a loving father, and her life was smoother and easier. But even though she had so much, Misa always looked sad, as if she were the victim, the most unhappy person in the world. That made Reina hate her more and more. Misa is tired of those meaningless, vicious words. She lunges forward and grabs her, forcing her to reveal where her grandmother is. The two immediately start to fight, but Misa's physical strength is no match for Reina's. It is only when she hears Wataru loudly calling Misa's name from afar that she slowly releases her hand. Because in that moment, she realizes that even in the most dangerous situations, Misa has someone who rushes to protect her, and she will forever be alone, with no one to show up for her. Completely disillusioned, she slowly disappears into the white snow. Wataru rushes to Misa's side. Seeing that she is still alive, he hugs her tightly, hugging her with the utmost fear that she will disappear again, like she did in her past life. At the same time, Tamoya finally finds a convenience store. His face is red from the cold. He hurriedly buys food and stuffs it into his mouth. He recharges his phone. Just then he receives a call from his father, who tells him that Reina attacked his mother before leaving the hospital. He becomes extremely angry. If it wasn't for her interfering, he and Misa would have gotten married a long time ago. The mother seizes the opportunity to instigate. She comes up with a plan to both avenge Reina and solve the family's debt problem. That is to take advantage of the huge insurance policy that Reina bought before the wedding. All Tamoya has to do is pretend to forgive everything and act generously. Then lure Reina on a honeymoon, then cause an accident so they can get all of the insurance money. Tamoya finds his mother's plan to be very reasonable. The next second, he sees Reina standing outside the window. Tamoya immediately becomes tender and affectionate, sweetly embracing her. They get into the car and go home together. On the way home, he suddenly suggests that they end everything here. He thinks he's in control, but he doesn't realize that Reina is much smarter than he thought. As soon as she gets out of the car, she pretends to want to stay for one more day, then immediately throws away her phone because a new plan has been quietly launched. At the same time, Wataru and Misa have returned home. After a thorough investigation, they find out the truth about Reina. They realize that all this time it has been a lie. The person who always said she was lonely and had nowhere to turn was actually someone who was wallowing in self-pity, envying Misa because of years of suppressed inferiority. As for Tamoya, he stares at the insurance form. The amount of insurance is 100 million yen, which makes him start to fantasize. What will he do with the money if he gets it? He also secretly searches the internet for keywords, like how to kill someone without getting caught. At that moment, he received a call from Reina, telling him that his mother had suddenly fainted, requiring him to go to the hospital immediately. Tamoya panics and drives onto the highway. Meanwhile, Reina looks at the GPS screen and smiles coldly. Her true face is finally revealed. She has long known that her mother-in-law had secretly bought a huge life insurance policy in her name. And she also understands that Tamoya will never let go of this windfall. She has secretly sabotaged the braking system on the car. Now, Tamoya frantically steps on the brake, but the car doesn't stop. When he realizes that he has been ruthlessly schemed against, he has no choice but to accept his fate. In a moment of desperation, he calls Misa, leaving his last words. He is filled with regret for all the things he did. If he could start over, he would never treat Misa that way. As soon as he finishes speaking, a loud explosion rings out on the other end of the phone. The car crashes into a concrete wall. After the car accident, he was rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. The last call on his phone was to Misa, so the police came to her to investigate. Wataru hurriedly explains that it was all Rena's doing. He emphasizes that the urgent thing now is to catch her. When they get home, Misa feels very uneasy, because she knows that the other person will not stop until she meets her. So she decides not to hide anymore. She wants to meet her one last time to say everything. Wataru is worried that she will be in danger, so he refuses to allow her to do so. The next day, Wataru suddenly receives a call from a strange number. It turns out that it is Reina disguised as a customer. She pleads with him for a chance to meet Misa, arranging to meet at a restaurant. He doesn't agree, but the next day he secretly goes to the meeting point alone. But he is not alone. He had informed the police in advance, and plainclothes officers were already seated everywhere in the restaurant, just waiting for her to show up to arrest her. At the same time, Misa is on her way to attend a funeral when she is tricked and taken away by her former superior. Since being demoted, the man has always harbored hatred for her and his colleagues. In his lowest moment, Reina appeared like a benefactor, pulling him to her side, making him blindly loyal to her. This time, he uses a stun gun to knock Misa unconscious, then quickly takes her to the appointed place. Meanwhile, Reina disguises herself as a waiter and bumps into Wataru. She threatens him, saying that if he dares to call the police, Misa will be in trouble. Wataru doesn't dare to act rashly, so he can only pretend to go to the bathroom and then secretly follow her. She orders him to remove his tracking device and leads him to a remote warehouse. Wataru immediately questions her about Misa's whereabouts, but Reina not only doesn't answer, but also deliberately provokes him and makes demands. Unable to endure it any longer, he immediately steps forward and grabs her by the neck in anger. But he doesn't realize that Reina has prepared weapons in advance, because she knows that there will be danger. She coldly stabs Wataru in the abdomen, blood gushing out like a spring. Immediately afterward, the former superior appears, bringing Misa to cooperate with her. When she wakes up, Misa is shocked to realize that she is in the cabin of a ferris wheel. Her friend is sitting opposite her, determined to be best friends with Misa for life. But Misa has completely rejected that relationship from the bottom of her heart. She doesn't want to continue arguing, and honestly reveals her inner thoughts. Her friend isn't surprised, because she has always known everything, but she is unwilling to let Misa leave. From beginning to end, she only wants to tie Misa to her world, because she doesn't accept that Misa can be happy without her. Misa also decisively reveals the truth. She had taken her life once before, but thinking back, she no longer resents Reina. She is now happy because her life has been restarted. And this time, she believes that as long as Reina leaves her, she will also have a different life, a much easier life. Those words are like a fatal blow, causing Reina to completely lose control. She grabs a weapon, screaming that she will drag Misa down with her to die. At that moment, the former superior below turns off all the switches of the Ferris wheel and locks the device. In an instant, Wataru appears and kicks away the man blocking his way. But when he finds out that the switch is locked, he doesn't know how to open it. Inside the cabin, the two are fighting so fiercely that the door is knocked open, causing Reina to almost fall from above. In the moment of life and death, Misa turns around and pulls Reina back, keeping her inside. From beginning to end, Misa only wanted to change her fate and never intended to harm others. Even in the last moment, the kindness inside her has never changed. But Reina refuses to let go. How can she be willing to let everything end like this? She wants Misa to never forget her, to carry all the hatred with her forever. She dies without regrets. Under the Ferris wheel, Wataru with injuries rushes forward, fighting desperately with his colleague. Finally, he subdues him, regaining control of the Ferris wheel. The cabin descends. Misa lands safely. Wataru is relieved to see that she is okay, but then he collapses from blood loss. The doctor diagnoses that he may not make it through the night. Misa is filled with remorse, tears falling non-stop. Will he leave her in the end? She takes his hand, constantly calling his name, begging him to wake up. In his dream, Wataru meets his deceased mother again. She smiles and says, "You should go back. There is someone very important waiting for you." At the same time, Misa's ex-husband takes his last breath, taking Wataru's place of Wataru. As fate reverses, Wataru finally wakes up. All the shadows disappear, and Wataru and Misa step together into a completely new future. And that cruel fate has been replaced by Reina and Tamoya. Not only has Wataru recovered, but her colleague has also completed her surgery and recovered successfully. Preparing to return to work, everyone has a beautiful ending. After working at the company for a while, Misa decides to resign. She wants to take over the old bakery that she loved the most. Misa continued creating sweet memories that are so interwoven with delicious baked goods. And Wataru also went back to school to pursue further education. steadfastly pursuing his dreams. 5 years passed, and the love between the two became stronger and stronger. Their lives moved into a completely new chapter, warm and full of hope. In recent days, they've been traveling together. On the way, a car whizzed past them. In a brief moment, Misa thought she saw her father sitting behind the wheel, but this time his face was full of smiles, as if he was congratulating her for finally finding true happiness. When they arrive at the destination, amidst the beautiful scenery, Misa suddenly turns to Wataru and proposes. Wataru had also been planning to propose, but Misa had been one step ahead. Even so, he couldn't let her steal the show again when it came to expressing their true feelings. I love you. And that's the end of our movie. Thanks for watching.